again to discuss things.
So this is fan film reviews.
No, please go on. You can't take it and then not take it, Rasco.
I wasn't really. I was initiating a take, but I wasn't actually planning on following through.
Too late. It's started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Geeky Gentlemen fan film reviews. But this is a special episode where we're not talking about a fan film.
Indeed. This week we're talking about a blog, which is a first for us. We're discussing the blog Super Team Family by Ross Persil. I'm not 100% sure on the pronouncement of the last name. Sorry about that, Ross, if I got it wrong. And this guy is freaking prolific with the amount of stuff he has posted. This may be one of the longest running fan creators I think we've talked about. At this point, he's been doing this since, I think he said 2010 in an interview I read with him. And he is nearing his 2000th issue of Super Team Family, which is ridiculous. So, Rasco, what exactly is Super Team Family?
Pretty much a place you go and you look at crazy crossover covers.
Mm-hmm.
And you enjoy it.
Yes, definitely. Super Team Family is this fan-made effort to take characters that have never crossed over in the comics but should have. That's the catchphrase of the website. All the crossovers that never happened but should have. And you could just get lost in it and go, oh my god, that would be so cool. And you can just click around this website for literally hours. I remember when I first found Ross's blog, I just got on Twitter and I started finding covers that I knew people I know would enjoy, and I just started tweeting them out at them. I was like, oh, this is perfect for Cap, this is perfect for superhero enthusiasts, this is perfect for this person. And that is just a barrel of fun to do. So normally, there's a lot of really great fan art out there, but we do this as a podcast. It's really, really difficult on any level to conceptually talk about a single piece of fan art for a full half hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've talked about a fan manga. I'm looking for a good quality fan comic outside of, what was his name? Outside of JL8, I'm looking for more of a serious, grounded comic book kind of thing, but I haven't found anything that really tips me off yet. But I figured it'd be fun to talk about Super Team Family, since it's something I check into every now and again and really enjoy. Before we get into talking about individual covers, Rasco, what did you think of the website?
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you find it and then you spiral into it, and then you're in a deep, dark internet hole, and you realize that you've wasted so much time, but you don't really care.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so what we're going to do is go through either 5 or 10 each covers, depending on how much we have to say about each of them. So let's go ahead and start with Rasco's number 5, which is Godzilla vs. Galactus. And I like this because I can actually throw this up on screen and you guys can check it out. All right, so Rasco, what made you pick Godzilla vs. Galactus?
So Godzilla vs. Galactus works because it almost doesn't, design-wise, Galactus actually fits right in with some Godzilla monsters. Things like Jet Jaguar like you can put Galactus in Godzilla at that point, because he looks almost just like an alternate costume, or just like that character's brother. Like, you know, he just fits, but he also fits from like the Godzilla space element. Mm-hmm. So that was why I picked this one, because I just thought it was too perfect. It was just too perfect.
Definitely, and there's a bunch of those on my list too, where I'm just like, oh, that's so good. I find it interesting because Ross will do these little posts with his images talking about like what kind of inspired this one. And yeah, for those that don't know, Godzilla had a Marvel comic at one point, and so this could have potentially been a thing. It just never was. So let's talk about the art on this one a bit. One thing I don't think that Ross gets enough credit for, because I made one of these just out of, curiosity, inspiration, all that stuff. And this shit is fucking impossible. This is a bitch to do, but like, not only are these characters in this one in particular well blended in together, they look like they're actually, facing off, looking at each other, but the art styles match quite well.
Yeah, like that is what's really interesting about it.
He goes to a lot of work to get the art styles, and not just that, but like the how to put this, the angles, the poses to really, really work. This could look really awkward and hackney if you were just doing like this. I'm really glad we have the visuals here to talk about this time, because it could look so weird, or it could sound so weird to say, oh, well, he put Godzilla and Galactus on a fake comic book cover together, and people could go, oh, well, that sounds like he just crappily photoshopped an image of Godzilla out of an image of, or into an image of a Galactus cover or something like that. And there's a lot of really intricate detail to this.
I agree. Yeah. The thing about the specific pose of Godzilla is what really works. Is it's this perfect kind of like pose where it's like, oh, he's like turning to face Galactus, but like the perspective is just right, where you get to see Godzilla and it's kind of like an almost over the shoulder. Mm-hmm. It works really well, actually. The poses are perfect.
Yeah, definitely. I like the way that he does the titles and all the other trappings on the books as well, and that's something I want to make sure we mention right off the bat. Like, he's mentioned that I mentioned he's getting closer to the 2000th issue. If you look up at the corner underneath the 60-cent price tag, this is issue number 1952. It's really neat. Okay. Anything else you wanted to say about this one, Rasco?
One last thing about this. If you go back and watch a lot of Godzilla movies, what you'll find is that there are so many like weird alien plots in a lot of Godzilla things, where there's like some weird alien race or whatever, and it's in a lot of Godzilla movies. There's always something like that. And what's really cool about this is that I can imagine this from like a story perspective. If you do like a Galactus type story where it's Silver Surfer comes to Earth first, and there's this whole like, there can be this whole plot with Silver Surfer and this unrelated stuff, and then this Godzilla versus Galactus stuff, and it works on like so many weird levels. Like if you were to just attempt to tell this story, it would actually work kind of like an old Godzilla story from the movies. It's really weird. I
mean, I'm just now thinking about it, but like I'm tempted to believe that there is, and if there's not, there should be someone on fanfiction.net just taking these premises and running with it to write a short story for each cover. Mm-hmm. Or like, it wouldn't have to be every cover, but like you could do that, right? You could just like take a cover and then feature it as, fan art, and like in tribute to Ross's Super Team family, here's my take on what this story would actually be like. And that could be, just hours of additional fun. But yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and go on to my number 5, which is Freddy Krueger versus the Sandman.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where I picked this for multiple reasons, but I've talked about in the past how I really feel like there is a story, as kooky as it might be, there is a story between Freddy Krueger and Sandman. I really think there's a crossover there to be had one day. Because Freddy Krueger's got not just the dream thing, but in particular the new Nightmare, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy Krueger, has a really interesting premise behind him from a horror perspective that really in a lot of ways fits right in with a lot of the stuff Gaiman was doing about, you know, what stories mean, how art works, and how it kind of transcends reality in a weird way, and it seems like art demands itself to exist. And so, you know, as kooky and silly as it would probably be considered, I do think that there's a great crossover there. And so that was just one of those things, when I found this cover, I was like, oh my god, yes, someone else thought of it too. You haven't read much Sandman, but I don't know, what do you think of this?
I think it's cool. So we did talk about a Sandman fan film, and you told me a little bit about the character. So I don't know a whole lot, but I think that just from an outside perspective, I see the potential that you seem to see. And to me, this is one of those ones that it just kind of seems obvious when you're dealing with like the nature of the weird kind of super aspect of both of the characters. They just kind of naturally wind up falling into that same like bowl of ingredients.
Definitely. Something else that this particular cover shows that, you know, the other one that we just talked about didn't, is Ross loves his dialogue balloons. And they're not necessary at all. You could just have the characters on the cover together, but throwing in the dialogue balloons, it just makes it work so much better. It just makes it instantly more fun.
Yeah.
And it really just starts your wheels spinning on what this could be, right?
Yeah. That's my favorite thing about it is Freddy Krueger saying "Bring it, emo." That's really funny.
Yeah, right. And that's the kind of shit Freddy Krueger would say to Morpheus, which is the best part. I guess I'd talk about one small complaint that I have with this one, and you know, it's not really a problem here, but it's just more of a general thing that I noticed with a number of these. This is kind of just a flat background where you can't really see anything going on, and I know when I was, you know, I feel an interesting perspective because I tried to do one of these, and we'll talk about that eventually. But it gives me a unique insight into how much effort he puts into these. And one thing I realized that was really hard is it's really difficult to find just blank backgrounds of visually fitting areas for a lot of these crossovers. So, like, you know, a jungle, like if you Google cartoon jungle or something like that, it's kind of difficult to find the right kind of backdrop. And so I noticed from time to time that he doesn't seem to be able to. And, you know, obviously when you're doing daily postings like this, there's going to be some times where you have to just kind of go, I'm going to fudge it a little bit on this one. But it's not something you notice until you really start looking into it.
No, yeah, it works. I think it works fine here because if you look at the art, like if you look at specifically Freddy, he's like being shined on by like orangish light. Like it looks like there's like fire or something wherever he got this image of him from. So it kind of makes sense that like the background is kind of like this weird like fiery aura almost.
And I mean, it's called Duel in the Dreaming, and the Dreaming is this thing where you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. As far as Neil Gaiman was concerned, it was literally limitless. I'm just saying that here because this is a particularly good example where it's not like a really striking background for whatever reason. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to your number 4, Rasco.
All right. So for my number 4, we have Silver Surfer in Star Trek.
Now this one I hadn't looked at before, so let me read it out here. Silver Surfer and Star Trek: The Trouble with Tesseracts. And we have Norrin Rad saying, "I cannot allow the Federation to utilize the Cosmic Cube, even if it means I must destroy them." Yay. This is a really interesting one, because as I'm looking at this, I really don't know what was added in. Like, I mean, obviously Silver Surfer was added in here, but like, I'm having a real hard time telling if that cosmic cube was added in on Kirk or if that's just a Star Trek comic book image where like Kirk was holding a mystical looking cube.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see, like, you know, he resources these images so well. I've rarely seen him reuse anybody. Like, nothing comes to mind for reused images of characters or anything. So, I honestly can't tell if that was just a really, really great pull, or if he did such a good job photoshopping that cube in place of whatever Kirk was originally holding. Just floating that one out there, Resco.
Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out for a second for me.
Oh, I was saying that he does such a good job pulling images. It's hard to tell if that was just how that image looked, or if he just did a really good job photoshopping in a cosmic cube there.
No, yeah, this one is like one of the most like just completely seamless ones of any of them, I think, on the site.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this one looks so real, it's like scary. And I also love how the Silver Surfer and Star Trek like texts look next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
They look really cool. And again, like, this writes itself, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely, because like the Silver Surfer is totally a thing that Star Trek would deal with. It drives me crazy when I hear Star Trek fans go, "Oh, Star Trek's pretty grounded sci-fi, all things considered." Like, they literally run into God every other week.
Yeah.
And so Silver Surfer is totally a kind of character that they'd have to deal with, and that is such a natural place for a crossover.
Yeah.
Part of me really wants to see Spock on the surfboard, though. Like,
that'd be awesome. You should do the Vulcan neck pinch on the Silver Surfer and see if it works.
I don't know. And that's the thing is, like, Silver Surfer has all these really kooky cosmic level powers where, like, I was reading a comic recently where someone wanted to yell for somebody else, but he's like, "I'll use my cosmic power to take the oxygen out of the air so the sound cannot travel." Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's like totally a thing you'd see on Star Trek, where someone just like would take the oxygen out of the room to punish the crew or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, you got anything else you want to talk about with this one?
If you were to like adapt this to like an episode, like if they did this for like Star Trek Continues, like not that this would ever happen, but if they like adapted this kind of thing to that, like as a character, Silver Surfer would fit right in with the kind of performances that people give in Star Trek. He would actually like perfectly fit in. It's really perfect. It's really shocking.
So what you're saying is everybody should spam Star Trek Continues with this cover and see if they'll do an episode on it.
Yes, it's pretty much what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Okay, that was your number 4. Let's go ahead and go on to my number 4 then, which is Green Lantern Daredevil. Return of the Men Without Fear. This is something else I really like about what Ross does on his site. This image obviously is very heavily photoshopped, but something he does is he'll do direct sequels to issues he already did. Like if you look through his little blurb down here at the bottom, he says this is a direct sequel from that time Daredevil and GL first met in Super Team Family number 1528. And that one's Daredevil and Green Lantern. When the Scarecrow enslaves New York, only two have the will to fight back, Men Without Fear. And so this is the perfect like follow-up to that. Hal Jordan tasked with rebuilding the Corps, and the hero who saved Hell's Kitchen is his first recruit. That's perfect.
That's actually really cool. That's the thing that sells it. Because initially it's like, okay, yeah, like it's cool. These two characters together is cool, but that is what sells it. That he's the first recruit. That's what makes it awesome.
Yeah, and like, you know, you got Daredevil, who's of course, yeah, the Man Without Fear is like his moniker and everything, and it totally works with the whole Green Lantern thing of to be the Ring, you have to be able to overcome fear. And so that's just a really, really neat match. And again, the art styles here really, really blend together perfectly. He does a lot of work to find, if not the same artist doing these characters that he's crossing over, people with very, very distinct but similar styles.
Yeah, the poses are also like really perfect.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking down through the labels here, and we got Marco Djurjevic and Mauro Cascoli. So I believe those are the two artists attached to each of these images of the character. To what I was talking about earlier, the background here actually works really well. We're kind of in that, or what I'm interpreting at least, as that like sonar thing that Matt Murdock has. So this may very well be the case where it's like original Daredevil cover where maybe something was in the same area that Hal Jordan was, or maybe there was nothing there, and Ross went in and added Hal, and it looks really good. That'd be my guess for how this is done. I can't be sure of that, obviously.
Yeah.
But the most striking use of Photoshop here is in changing Matt Murdock's suit from red to green, and that should look kind of atrocious, but it really sells it for me, man.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
And like it's nice subtle detail because he was able to put the aura around Matt, and like I'm looking at this one of Hal, and I'm pretty willing to say that Hal didn't have that original green aura around him, or if he did, it had to be redone in the process of pulling him from whatever he came from. So like it's this nice little thing of necessity, but it works really well because now they mirror each other, and it makes it look more natural, more like it was done as one piece.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Daredevil would have the ring on his right hand. And what's really cool about this is if you look at Daredevil's right hand, it's facing like where if you were wearing a ring, you wouldn't be able to see it because his hand's turned away. Mm-hmm. But he actually made like a larger aura of green light around the hand that would have the ring, even though you can't see the ring, but the ring would be like shining extra bright on his hand with the ring.
Yeah, and that's a really great way to visually cue where the ring is without having to like go to the trouble of finding a different image of Matt where you can see the back of his hand and photoshopping the ring onto it.
Yeah.
That and this one just works for me on the simple level of one of my favorite things is to do other characters get the different core rings.
Yeah.
Like I sent out to a custom. Oh my god, we could talk about custom figures for an episode. I sent out and got a custom figure made of Kratos from God of War in the God armor that he has at the beginning of the second game, and I had that repainted so that he looks like a Red Lantern, which is really neat. But yeah, I'm a sucker for crossover stuff like that, and so this just right up my alley. I will say, I like the Daredevil logo. I prefer the Daredevil logo when it's got the horns on the D. That's just personal preference thing on the first D. Otherwise, looks solid to me. Let's go ahead and go on to your number 3, right, Rasco?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
My number 3 pick is Robocop on the planet of the apes. The future of law enforcement has no chance against the future of civilization.
So what was the reasoning behind this one, Rasco?
A while back, I realized that possibly one of the most potential-filled, properties for crossover is Planet of the Apes. Mm-hmm. Like, you could put Planet of the Apes with so many things. Like, you can do, like, Predator versus Planet of the Apes. You can do, like, Alien on Planet of the Apes. And when I saw this one, I was like, oh, I haven't thought about that one, but it's perfect. Robocop on the Planet of the Apes. Now, the only problem with this is it's really hard to get to a place where this happens. I imagine you do something where Robocop's, like, powered down and, like, lost in a landfill for, like, decades and decades, and then he's, like, found and, like, reactivated, and all of a sudden he's in, this crazy ape world. That would be awesome. That's how you write the story, I guess. It'd be kind of ridiculous to get there, but, it works. It's awesome. And the art, again, it really works.
Yeah, it matches great. Like, just looking at this, the ape is so naturally in there, and it's already got the, the famous Statue of Liberty thing. So, again, I'm speculating here, but my guess would be that was an original cover where the ape was probably holding, like, a rifle or something.
Yeah,
and so,
like a spear or something, maybe.
Yeah, and so just putting Robocop over that really, really fits, and it looks really natural because the guy looks like he's supporting weight on to hold him up. Robocop looks kind of defeated and everything.
Yeah.
It does really, really flow here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as how natural this crossover goes, you know my feelings on any kind of sequel to the original Planet of the Apes, but I for as kooky comic bookness, I mean, it'd be better than the Green Lantern Planet of the Apes crossover that just happened. So.
Oh.
But yeah, I could see this. Why not? It'd be neat. I like the little instead of the word balloons here, I like the introduction of how the story would play out. That's just fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have a ton to say about this one.
I was just gonna say, eventually, here's where this has to go. The apes, they find RoboCop. They start learning about the tech, and the apes have to make Robo-Ape Cop. It has to happen, Robo-Ape Cop.
Something that I would like to see as far as sequels Planet of the Apes goes does involve, let's just take them further into their timeline so that they develop more advanced tech. Yeah. And I would just enjoy seeing what exactly happens to further developed ape culture. And so that could be kind of a neat little way to give us an excuse for that story.
Yeah, be awesome.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to my number 3 then. This is, again, Ross likes to do his sequels and stuff to crossovers. So this is Wonder Woman marries Captain America. These two have a frickin' saga together in Super Team Family. They have been in an on-again, off-again marriage. They're constantly battling with one another, relationship stuff. You can see it all over the blog as you go through it. And so Ross just kind of was like, I've never shown these two getting married though, so here. And that's really funny. Steve Rogers is wearing the most atrocious outfit literally ever.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
I can't believe that someone actually drew that. That is the ugliest thing of all time. It's like he mugged Uncle Sam.
Get ready, that's the new costume in Infinity War.
I would kill to see Chris Evans wear this costume.
Confirmed.
This is like if the Sixth Doctor played Captain America from Doctor Who. That was a joke for all the Doctor Who fans out there. But yeah, this one just really works for me. It's really fun. As always, I like the dialogue. Well, that was a surprise. Not one villain tried to crash the ceremony. They wouldn't dare. Don't speak too soon. Get ready for a honeymoon with Hydra. That's so... Ross is obviously a big fan of some of the more classic era of comics where they could, be allowed to have fun. And that's still something that happens, but obviously everyone kind of wanted to go dark and serious, and so there's a lot of oversaturation with that. And this just looks like it'd be a blast to read. This just looks like so much fun. I can just imagine grinning ear to ear as I read this book.
It'd be one of those things where if you're reading it, I'd hope there'd be a bunch of those kind of one-off conversations in Avengers, at the wedding reception and stuff like that. There needs to be a bunch of little side conversations. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that was I was recently reading through all of Reginald Hudlin's Black Panther run, and he did Black Panther and Storm getting married, and so there's just an issue where they're getting married and dealing with world politics as they try to set up the wedding, because like the president of the United States and Fidel Castro were attending the wedding ceremony, and so it's just like this political logistic nightmare, stuff like that. Just the background behind all this stuff kind of writes itself in just how fun it could be. Yeah, I'm digging this one. It's also funny because Steve Trevor, as he's gotten, you know, further and further in just how people write him, has kind of become, in a lot of ways, just very similar to Steve Rogers. And so it's kind of funny to see this, like, him get replaced by Steve Rogers. Yeah, I think I'm good with this one, unless you have anything to say about it.
Not too much. I did see this one, and I thought it was very fun, but I didn't pick it from my list because I've got two that are even better.
Okay, let's go ahead and go on to your number 2, Rasco.
All right, my number 2 is Indiana Jones vs. Aliens: Deadly Discovery.
Oh man, this is an interesting one, and this is another one where I'm like really very impressed by how well the art styles match. That
Absolutely.
is spot on. They look just as realistic.
Yeah, it's
Go
crazy. The art's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And again, the ones that I like the most on this website are the ones that write themselves in terms of story.
Mm-hmm.
Story is so easy. It's very, you could do like a Temple of Doom type thing where there's some like, you know, it could be a thing where Indiana Jones like discovers the eggs himself, and it's very much kind of like the opening scene of Alien, but with like an Indiana Jones opening scene. Mm-hmm. Or you do like this weird like tribe in the woods that like sacrifices people to the xenomorph eggs, and it's like this, what the hell's going on in the Amazon? There's aliens. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, they've kind of written the premise or the background for this crossover for you because of, like, you know, say what you will about it, but Alien versus Predator's backstory.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, the groundwork's kind of been laid for this in an interesting way. I was reading through Ross's little blurb here while you were talking. The reason that these two match so well, same artist, Dave Dorman. And man, it looks great. That the guy does some really great paintings of these characters, and Ross did a great job pulling from stuff to get these two together. I'm a little bit hesitant on this one because do you think the implication here is that Indy is running away from the alien queen, or do you think that he is dropping in on the eggs and she is sneaking up behind him?
So I've had like, okay, when I look at this, the story that I go to in my head is like Indiana Jones discovers the egg in the beginning of the story. Someone else gets their hands on the egg. It gets out of control, and he's escaping from like a hive or something like that. That's what I get from this, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the eggs are there guarding some secret treasure in a tomb, and he's like going to get a treasure out, and this is like the security of the tomb. All like that. There's just a million things I go to when I look at this.
Yeah, I'm just talking specifically about the way that this plays on the visual just by itself. Because I'm looking at Indy, and his face has a certain level of fright to it. I'm just not entirely sure if it looks like he is, you know, like grabbing the rope to swing away from the alien queen, or if he's like, you know, descending into some kind of vault or whatever and looking at the eggs and doesn't realize she's behind him.
That's totally possible. I think that the image of Indy is probably of him like lowering himself into some sort of tomb or something. So, like, I think that's what the pose is.
Okay. And like it's hard to tell because like he's got his whip and stuff. Like he's got the pelvis leaning forward, and his whip and stuff seems to be kind of like flailing behind him, kind of in the wind. So it's just a little. I'm a little iffy on it. This might be one where like motion lines or something would really help sell what's exactly supposed to be happening. But, you know, that's just because of the amount of detail in here that I'm able to kind of wonder about stuff like that. It's just, this is so well detailed that I'm like, I'm not entirely sure exactly what's happening, but it looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like the Indiana Jones and the Aliens logo together as well.
Yeah, they look really cool.
Mm-hmm. This actually is one that I think is worth bringing up. How do you feel about the number of logos and stuff you see on this?
I'm not sure. Why do you have like a problem with it?
From time to time I don't really like the barcode being there, and like, it depends on the issue, but like from time to time the Comics Code Authority sticker bothers me too. Mm-hmm. That one more for a story reason than for like distracting from the image. But like in this one in particular, I look at the barcode and I'm like, it's just kind of covering up one of the eggs, and I don't know, I'd get more joy out of just seeing the cover itself, because it's this weird thing where like by having all that stuff on it, it makes it look more authentic. And I'll talk about it later, but I've been fooled by his blog at one point and thought, oh my god, this is a real comic, I need to find this. And so like it's this double-edged sword where it makes it look more authentic, but once you know it's not, it's like, I kind of would just rather see more of the art and less of the logos from time to time.
Yeah, that's fair. Make like an alternate version with nothing on it.
Well, that's the funny part, right? Is they show that in the comics all the time. Like when you buy the trade, you get all the covers without all the shit on them. And so that's always, enjoyable. But otherwise, I think I'm good on this one if you are.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, what are we at? My number 2 then?
Yes.
All right. My number 2 is Joker's Wild. This is something that Ross likes to do a lot, and I enjoy the hell out of it, is when he'll make a team. That's fun. There's a number. Like, I had 3 that could have been on my list. Also, people go check out the Doppelgang and... I forgot the name of it, like the Fur Squad or something like that. But I went with Joker's Wild because I just really, really enjoyed this one. Of, The Mask, Green Goblin, Sideshow Bob, Violator, the Joker, Pennywise, Batman's got the JLA and the Outsiders, so Joker's forming a team of his own. And I like the way the images are on the cards. That's really neat, and it really looks great. And it's totally something the Joker would do. It's like, oh, well, Batman's got his team, so I'll make my own team of clowns. And, like, again, this is a situation where this totally writes itself, because I know how Joker would deal with this. He would think it was a great idea for about half the issue, and then he would get really annoyed with everyone else stealing his thunder and betray them. That's exactly what would happen.
I really like how you just wind up with so much, like, even though you don't typically think of clowns in green, you still wind up with so much green because of Green Goblin and the Mask. I just really like the greenness of the team. It's very representative of green people.
Green people have rights too.
Yeah.
Pennywise, I'm a little confused on in here. Everyone else looks really good. My only thing with Pennywise is I can't quite tell if that's like a photoshopped image of Tim Curry as Pennywise or if that's actually from a comic book. I think that's just an issue where it's too small to be able to tell. What do you think?
I think where it came from, okay, so I think it's the same image. I don't think it's literally like a picture. Okay, so there's this, what's it called when like you move the box and the image changes?
I have no idea.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, if you look at it, like, if you, like...
Oh, like a holographic?
Yeah, it's been so long since that's been... So, like, movie covers used to always... Like, DVD covers always used to have those on there. There used to be, like, a DVD of the 2-part miniseries for TV, It movie, where it was Pennywise's face, and then you tilted it, and it turned to that face.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's that image. I don't think it's like he took a picture of the box cover or anything, but I think that's the image. It's the same image they used for the box cover of. Okay,
so like it's probably like a real image then.
Yeah.
I remember Jack Frost, the movie had a great lithographic cover like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I'm like, it's already a really wide variety of art styles here. Particularly like with using Sideshow Bob and the Mask, those two really start to break it for me. As far as a consistent art style goes. Like Green Goblin, Violator, and Joker all look pretty good together. Pennywise, he's so far in the background that you have a harder time telling that he's not like... I don't think he's drawn. We could be wrong. Maybe like someone took that picture of Pennywise and did a painting of it or something like that. But he just... To me, he looks either really, really well painted or like it's just an actual photograph. That's digitally altered or whatever. But like, I don't know, there's a wide variety of art style on here, and that is probably the biggest problem with this single issue, or with this single cover. But I mean, it's such a fun premise that like, I didn't even think of that like critique of it until I was sitting here talking about it, you know? But otherwise, this just really sells for me. The Joker's like famously always depicted having a deck of cards that are like always Jokers for whatever reason. So this just, I don't know, it just sells it for me. I could just totally see this happening.
Yeah.
As a real cover. Yeah, that's all I got. Let's go ahead and go on to your number one.
Okie dokie. So coming in my number one slot, we have Kraven the Hunter versus Predator. The most deadly type of prey is the kind that hunts you back.
Right? Oh my god, that's perfect. I almost had this on my list too. He hasn't done a lot with Predator. We need more Predator covers. Yeah. It's too much fun.
Yeah. This is so cool.
Go ahead.
This is just one of those ones where, again, it's just so perfect. It's really weird. It's like Alien, Predator, and like they're just made to be with other things. They're just made to cross over. And this is one of those ones. It's like, it would be so entertaining. It's just so perfect. The art styles go really well. I love the background image he used. It's just perfect. And I think that, the most deadly type of prey is the kind that hunts you back. That's what makes it awesome. That's what just next level.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, what is the situation behind this one? Because predators famously go after like, hunters, alphas, right? Mm-hmm. And so like, is the predator the one stalking Kraven, or is Kraven like aware of where the predators do their hunting and has gone in looking for his own kill?
Yeah.
And that's just, oh man, that's so cool. It's such a perfect little background idea to this, and I could see a million ways for this crossover to go, but I want all of them. I just imagine Kraven out on the hunt and realizing he's being hunted, or vice versa for the predator. I'm so into this one.
Oh yeah, and he's totally the kind of character that would be abducted and be one of like the mercenaries that the predators put on their hunting world in Predators, like the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, he's totally the kind of character that would wind up on that planet if that was the kind of story you told with it, which I'm not saying you have to, because you don't have to do that, but I'm saying that like he's such a Predator character. It's hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm just looking through some of the stuff Ross has, and I'm pretty sure if you look at the labels section, it's tagged with a lot of the things that are seen in the image. And he usually puts, I believe, the artist's name, so it's Chris Warner and Mike Zeck here. And so I'm always more impressed when he's able to take two different artists. Like we talked about this with the Indiana Jones one, that looks really good, but at the same time it's the same artist, so like it kind of naturally goes together. I'm almost more impressed when it's two different artists and it looks this good together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really cool. And this is something that like I do think is worth talking about. How many of his little like blurbs underneath these images did you read as you were going through these?
It's really weird. I haven't paid much attention to them until we've been going through them now.
Okay. And that was my thing too. When I first found the site, I didn't bother reading any of them. But like the more I've spent time with it, you know, especially if I read it like day it's posted kind of stuff, I tend to read the blurbs. Let me ask you this: would you be interested in knowing kind of more if in seeing Ross talk more about the process behind each image? Like I pulled Kraven from this comic book, and I pulled Predator from this issue, and the background came from this, or do you kind of like it not to be known?
I almost kind of like it not being known because I almost don't want to see the images in context with what they're supposed to be in context with. Like, I don't want to see what they were pulled from because I like just only getting to see the images in this context because it kind of makes it more believable that I haven't seen what it was supposed to look like originally.
Mm-hmm. And I'm aware that, like, he wouldn't be able to do it 100% of the time, but, like, just, again, since I made one out of just the curiosity and the fun of it, I really found the whole process of sourcing the images and everything a lot of fun to do.
Mm-hmm. And
so, I don't know, part of me really wants to know, like, okay, did he pull this from a cover or is it from a panel? Did he pull it from, you know, a recent issue or how long ago was this? And, you know, part of it just makes me want to go and get these comics and see what the context of the original story was, because some of these poses are ridiculous and it makes me really wonder.
Yeah.
like again, the Captain America Wonder Woman. What the fuck context was Captain America wearing that damn coat in? So yeah, like that's something I just think about. Like I kind of wish he'd talk a little bit about that in some of the blog posts, but maybe I don't know. Maybe I'd be the only one interested in that. I don't know. It could be fun. Anything else you want to say about this one, Rasco?
No, but we need to see Kraven in a Spider-Man movie. That's all I have to say. Has nothing to do with this.
I could dig it. This is one of those ones, now that I think about it, this would never be approved by the Comics Code Authority. I refuse to believe that. The Comics Code would never have approved this. So, like, this is one where I like the Comics Code Authority sometimes when it's, like, a fun image. I think there should be ones where it's, like, you know, specifically not there. When it would obviously be a more mature kind of thing, you know? So... all right, let's go ahead and go on to my number one, which is Super Team Family presents Metron versus The Watcher. All-out action issue. Staring contest.
So I have no idea who Metron is.
He's from New Gods. Did you ever watch Justice League Unlimited?
Yeah. So
all the way through?
I don't know if I've seen every episode of Justice League Unlimited. I've seen a lot of Justice League Unlimited, though.
Metron is in, like, the last couple episodes of Justice League Unlimited as Lex Luthor is trying to resurrect Brainiac, but accidentally brings Darkseid back.
Then it's just been so long since then, because I've definitely seen those episodes.
Yeah, like, Metron shows up and he's like, I'm warning you that if you do that, the universe will be put at great risk.
Okay, never mind. I know exactly what you're talking about then.
Yeah, so Metron's one of the New Gods. He just floats around on this Mobius chair. He's a Jack Kirby character. And he's like this seeker of ultimate knowledge. He just goes around the universe observing the DC universe and its events and just trying to understand literally everything. And so he's a very Jack Kirby kind of thing. Like, you look at this chair, it's very Jack Kirby inspired chair.
I like this because the Watcher looks like the Star Child from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Nice. And so yeah, these are characters that very much parallel one another between the two universes. Obviously, the Watcher was kind of created as, we got like this guy floating around, this cosmic being who like witnesses events, and so Metron kind of does the same thing, kind of most of the time dispassionately, just viewing things as they happen as opposed to playing any real role in them. And so these two really fit each other, and I love the cheekiness of this cover where it's like, all-out action issue, staring contest. So they're just sitting there watching each other. That's really fun.
They team up, and their team name is the Observers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much. And so this is just like, this is a lot of fun. I actually have a story behind this. This is my very first Super Team Family cover. Yeah, initially when I was doing something for Geeky Gentleman, it was for the 3D room that we use for video game episodes, where like there's a bunch of comic boxes in that background. Each of those comic boxes is filled with 3D models of comic books. Each of those comic books has a different comic book cover on it, because I'm a crazy person, because you don't see those. You're looking at the Geeky Gentleman title card, which is set in the same room. If you look at the comic boxes behind my chair and look really, really closely, and the handholds, you'll see different covers in there. Super Team Family was on one of those comic books. I don't know if it's in the title card, but it's on. This particular image is on one of those comic boxes, because I was searching through looking for comic book covers just online, and I came across this. I was like, no, that can't be real. I must own this. And I went looking on Google to see if this was a real thing, and all I found was Ross's blog, and that's like how I discovered Ross's blog. And this is just absolutely the most cheeky freaking thing I think I've seen him do. Because it's so self-aware and really funny, and I love it to death.
Yeah.
It's got the Cosmic Marvel, Cosmic DC stuff. It looks cool here. I like it.
Yeah, pretty cool. I also really like how like the Watcher is like eclipsing the sun, because like the shadows on him look really dramatic, and it looks like the lighting is actually perfect with like how the beams of light are hitting him.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I wonder, okay, did Ross get an image of the Watcher, or is this did Ross get a cover that had the Watcher on it, or a panel that had the Watcher on it, and then like add in a bunch of stuff, or did he pull the Watcher from something else and pull Metron from something else and put them on a unique background? And I honestly can't tell you.
Yeah, I don't really know.
This is one of the few where the art style doesn't quite match. I think he just needed that for the angle, because I know I've seen some other images of Metron that are more detailed, but I don't know if the angle would work. Like, there's some great stuff from Metron at the beginning of Final Crisis when he gives Man fire that looks like super well detailed, like the Watcher does here. But honestly, this one, the fun trumps the matching for this one, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, and we're at we're almost an hour in here. So I'm not gonna go through. We actually picked out 10, but we decided to do 5 just in case that was too much. So we only did the 5. But I wanted to devote one little section here at the end. Rasco, do you have any suggestions for the general way in which Ross posts these, like the formatting of the website, stuff like that? Is there anything about the site that like you thought of, like as you were searching for stuff, where like, man, I really wish it had like this feature or something?
I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about that. I don't really have anything to say about that, honestly.
It's cool. I wanted to ask you, because I know while I was searching through this, I was like, this needs a random button.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. That'd actually be cool, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I don't know how much Ross knows about like coding and all that stuff, so that might be like a limitation on it. I just Googled real quick the other night if you can add a random button to Blogger, the website that Ross uses for this. It's apparently doable. I don't know how easy, how functional it is, but I would love to see a random button on this website, because it would just make the hole even deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be a lot of fun. So a random button was one thing I thought of. I know that he takes suggestions sometimes from the comments on different issues. It'd be neat if he had like a centralized list somewhere, I thought, for suggestions, but I could see where, you'd probably get the same person just suggesting stuff over and over and over again. Maybe it'd be different stuff, but it'd always be the same person. And that could be kind of annoying, so I don't know, that might be something to think of, and think of it like a unique way to do it that wouldn't allow one person to just spam the whole list or something like that.
Yeah.
But just random things like that occurred to me as I was going through the website, and I figured I'd check in with you, see if you thought of anything. Something else, not really website itself related, but like I would just like to see some more stuff that's like not directly out of comic books, like superhero, DC, Marvel kind of comics. I was disappointed as I was looking through. I'm like, damn, I couldn't find any Gokus. I would have killed for a Goku. Okay, so nothing else like that came to mind for you though?
No, not really.
Okay. Let's see if we can luck out here. Since I'm pretty sure Ross is listening to this, I've talked to him a little bit here and there over Twitter, so I'm pretty sure he'll end up sitting down watching this episode. Let's really throw our luck here. I would like to request a cover. See if I can get this in his ear. And so Rascal, I'll let you think of one too. Either anything related to Geeky Gentleman, because I can send you the character art for us, even if it includes us like being stomped on by Godzilla or something for saying mean things about your website, or I would like one day love to see Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, and Zorro have a crossover issue, because that's a crossover in the back of my head that I don't think anyone else has ever thought of, but I would love it. How about you, Rasco?
Mine is... this doesn't make any sense, but Alien versus The Thing.
A lot of his early issues are The Thing. If you go back and look at the really early archives, it's just a lot of crossovers with other characters and The Thing.
Oh, that's awesome. How about The Thing from Fantastic Four versus The Thing?
Oh, there you go. That'd be fun. Yeah, so I would love to see that. I'll keep an eye out on the website, see if we get a mention or something like that. I just want to say, Roz, keep doing what you're doing. It's a lot of fun. It allows me to just nerdgasm out and go, ooh, wouldn't this be amazing? And I always get a smile on my face when I read different issues of Super Team Family. So thanks for that, Roz. Do we want to do a rating on this one, Rasco? Do we want to rate the overall blog?
I don't really want to rate it because I don't know how to rate a blog. I don't know what I'm rating it based on, really.
Let's go ahead and do it and just do overall enjoyment as the factor.
Okay, that's fair.
Overarching enjoyment, creativity, stuff like that. So I'm gonna easily give this a 5 out of 5. Super Team Family gets a 5 out of 5. Crossovers that have never happened but should.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I don't know what to give it a 4 out of 5 of. How do I do that?
4 out of 5 60-cent comic books?
Yeah, out of 5. There you go.
What are you taking the point off for, just out of curiosity?
I just am not as enthusiastic about it as you are, I guess. I don't know.
You're not as much a comic guy as I am, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I totally get it. You should check out some of the movie crossover ones he's done too.
Ooh.
Because he does that occasionally where it's the official comic adaptation of the big screen event. And those are always fun to see.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. Rasco, what are we going to be picking? What are we going to be reviewing next week?
I'm glad you asked, because I found the perfect one. The Wild Wolf, Game of Thrones prequel fan film.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes, very.
Okay, cool. That'll be fun. All right, I'm down for that. Cool. Wait a minute. Let me just ask you one question. Have you watched any of it yet?
No, but it came out this year. It's 16 minutes long. It's got a pretty decent thumbnail.
Are you sure it's in English? Is my only question.
I'm not sure it's in English.
Because I know I've found Game of Thrones fan films before, and they are not in English.
Hold on, I can like watch like a second of it and we'll see.
Yeah, let's just figure that out real quick while we're on recording because we're professionals.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's in English. We're good.
Okay, good, cool. Yeah, I'd thought about picking one before, but it was in like Swedish or something, so I didn't. Anyway, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the beta male cuck.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.